morning or afternoon, depending where you all are. We're so glad to have you here with us today. We're going to give folks a few minutes to get settled into the Zoom call, but we appreciate you joining us today to learn more about adapting in-person labs with Science Interactive. So we're just going to give it one moment before we kick things off. And let's go on ahead and dive in. Thank you all again so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. My name is Dr. Kate Rennie-Jancy, and I'm the Chief Academic Officer here at Science Interactive. I've worked for over 10 years to bring science to students across the country, no matter where they are located. And I'm very excited today to be joined by two faculty members who we've had the opportunity to work with, Dr. Charles Murrieta and Professor Lisa Jones. To share a little bit about our faculty participants today, I'll share some bios for both of them. Dr. Charles Murrieta brings nearly 2 decades of analytical research experience to forensic science. A Los Angeles native, he holds a bachelor's in biology from Loyola Marymount University, a master's in molecular biology from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and a PhD in lipid biochemistry and metabolism from the University of Wyoming. After teaching in biosafety at UNL, he joined the forensic science faculty in 2022, where he teaches forensic toxicology, forensic chemistry, laboratory safety, and other core courses. His extensive background bridges theoretical foundations with practical applications of modern forensic technique. Professor Lisa Jones is an accomplished pharmacy technician educator, subject matter expert, and healthcare professional with over 20 years of experience in pharmacy operations, academic program leadership, and exam content development. She currently serves as the Pharmacy Technician Academic Program Coordinator at Aiken Technical College in Graniteville, South Carolina, and contributes nationally as an item writer for the PTCB and NHA certification exams. Lisa holds advanced degrees in educational leadership and health administration, and is certified in non-sterile compounding, regulatory compliance, and medication therapy management. Her professional work is driven by a commitment to student success, pharmacy education excellence, and public health advocacy. Lisa, Charles, thank you both so much for joining us today. I'm sure everyone is excited to hear how you're incorporating the lab kits into your courses at your schools. Before we hop in though, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to go through today. Before we share Charles and Lisa's stories, we're going to start off with an introduction to Science Interactive, who we are and what we do, followed by a presentation from Dr. Charles Murrieta, and then Lisa Jones, and then we'll end things with a question and answer session for you. So what is Science Interactive? If you're not familiar with us, Science Interactive was really founded on the principle that all students, no matter where they're located, should have the opportunity to perform hands-on laboratory experiments as a part of their science lab course. For those of you who have worked with us in the past, you may best know us as supporting online laboratory courses, where we support students in remote locations, whether a home, a dorm, or anywhere else, and having the opportunity to perform hands-on labs across a number of different disciplines. But we also support hybrid learning and on-campus learning, both through campus-based kits, as well as virtual pre-labs that support student preparation for an on-campus laboratory experience. We support now 15 different disciplines. It's really exciting to share that number, as we'll be launching our 15th discipline next week. And these disciplines span across non-majors courses like physical and earth science to majors-based courses like microbiology and A&P, up through and including allied health courses with pharmacy technician and our newest discipline, nursing. Across these 15 disciplines, we have over 480 hands-on and digital experiments that students have the opportunity to perform. And every single one of these courses have undergone quality matter certification to ensure that they meet the rigorous standards for best practices in online course setup. So let's kick things off today by talking a little bit about some of the challenges that come with teaching on-campus labs. And we're going to kick off a poll. And we'd love to hear from you what some of the challenges that you have experienced in the on-campus lab have been. We'll give you a second to answer that, and we'll see how that relates to what we found in some of our studies. Okay. So we at Science Interactive do what we call our annual lab report, and as a part of this, in 2024, we polled instructors about what challenges they experience in their on-campus lab environment. And 3 items really emerged to the top here. The first was this lack of student preparedness. Students were entering the lab course not having done any pre-reading, not having done their pre-lab, and really just weren't prepared once they got into lab. As a result of that, students weren't engaged in the lab course. They were trying to catch up. The faculty members were trying to catch them up rather than focusing on sort of having the opportunity to focus more on the overall learning objectives. It was more on basic training. And then that's combined with a limited amount of time to prep for labs. Our faculty members are asked to do a lot of things on campus, from teaching to supporting lab courses, and other activities. And so there's really a limited amount of lab time to prep, particularly when you don't have dedicated folks who are involved in the lab prep process. So these 3 items really rose to the top in our research, and we saw that in our poll today as well. So how can Science Interactive help support this? We can do this through our on-campus lab kits, which are really designed to build a better lab experience with less work for faculty member. And there's really 4 critical things that we're hoping to achieve with these kits. First, ensuring quality. Really, we design these kits for all teaching modalities, whether you're teaching online, whether you're teaching on campus, or both. All of your students will have the same labs and the same learning outcomes in a similar experience. Second, trying to eliminate headaches. These lab kits are ready to use as soon as they're arrived. Students are always going to have the materials they need right in front of them on campus, and you won't have to worry about being short items mid-semester. The third piece, support student success. Within the lab kits, you're going to have all the materials they need, but that's also going to come with a comprehensive curriculum. That curriculum is going to include a pre-lab reading. It's going to include pre-lab questions, so that students have an opportunity to really go through the content before they come to lab. It also includes engagement elements. It can be digital labs. It can include animations that help engage the students in the concepts that they're going to be using in that lab course. And finally, maximize teaching impact. Really, the goal is to spend less time on prep, less time on logistics, because everything is prepped and ready to go for you, so you can really support more time, support your student success. So how the kits work, like I mentioned, we have 480 labs across 15 disciplines, and you can pick a standard kit, which aligns with a typical syllabus for a biology, chemistry, A&P course, or you can customize that kit so that there's only the topics that you're covering in your course selected to be included. Within that kit, students are going to have lab-grade equipment available to them, all of the tools they need, as well as pre-measured chemicals that are packaged on a lab-by-lab basis. So if you're in a chemistry lab, you're doing stoichiometry in week 1, you can pull out your stoichiometry bag, you'll have all of the chemicals you need, dispose of those at the end, and then when you get to week 2, you'll pull out the next chem bag. All of this equipment is paired with the peer-reviewed curricula. That's going to include that introductory content I mentioned, as well as step-by-step guidance through each of the lab activities, videos and image-based supports for students who may have questions, as well as assessments, and then pre-labs that really reinforce those concepts, lab procedures, and safety protocols. We work with many campuses, and with a variety of flexible purchasing methods, students can apply financial aid to purchase those kits. And these kits can be delivered before the start of the term, so students are ready on day 1. So what does this look like in practice? We've got a couple of examples here today. So for our pharmacy technician kits, for students who are looking to get a pharmacy technician certification, so they'll have the opportunity to perform labs like compounding solutions, suspensions, ointments, emulsions, learning how to use pharmacy equipment, how measurement systems work in the pharmacy, even up to and including preparing hospital drugs and injecting a medication into an IV bag. For our forensics courses, students have the opportunity to develop skills from crime scene sketching, doing arson investigations, explosive investigations, trace evidence investigations. And then our physical science discipline, for example, includes molecular model kits, centrifugal acceleration materials, friction blocks, so that students can really have a view of some of those basic chemistry and physics concepts. So now that you know a little bit more about what Science Interactive does, I'm going to pass things over to Charles to talk more about what's being done at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
All right, well, thank you very much. And again, it's a pleasure to be here. Hello to everyone. And I hope I'm able to convey what we do in our forensic science program at the University of Nebraska and Lincoln. So we are a small program at UNL. We're a growing program. And so currently we have about 200 and around 220 students total across all 4 years, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. Our incoming class is the largest with around 100 incoming students. And you'll see here in a bit how Science Interactive Kit works really well with that intro lab. So personally, I teach Intro to Forensic Science Lab. I also teach Forensic Seminar, Forensic Chemistry, Forensic Talks, and our capstone course, which is for our graduating seniors. We pride ourselves here at Nebraska in providing a lot of hands-on experience to our forensic science students. It's a very science-heavy curriculum. They take general chemistry, organic chemistry, calculus, physics. But by the time they graduate, a lot of them have the hands-on. This is how you work a microscope. This is how you take a 10 print card. This is how you analyze for unknown white powders. And so by the time they graduate, they're well prepared for the workforce. Most of our enrollment are forensic science majors. We do have some non-majors which can take the lab course, which also fulfill a science core curriculum requirement by the university. Usually our courses are in person. We do have a couple of online. We have one online section for this intro class, and then the rest are typically hands-on. And then as you get to your upper division classes, juniors and seniors, the class size averages around a dozen students or so. But in the intro course, which is our first semester of the first year, all of our incoming students, we have this coming semester, we'll have about 100 for the fall. And then in each lab section, we'll have about 25 students per lab section. So a total of about 5 lab sections. Right. So again, as I mentioned, we're a small program. We have 4 teaching faculty. We don't have any grad students. We're undergraduate only. As I mentioned, around 225 to 250 students. We offer 3 tracks of study. CSI for students who are interested in going out in the field and processing crime scenes. We also have the chemistry track where with students who want to analyze unknown white powders, toxicological analysis, things like that. And then the biology students who are interested in DNA profiling and human tissues for that kind of analysis. Our graduates, it's a 4-year program, 120 units, and they obtain a Bachelor of Science degree. And as I mentioned, it is a science-heavy curriculum. Some of our incoming students have seen CSI on TV, but they learn really quickly the science part of forensic science. Some of our students have minors and double majors in entomology, chemistry. So our curriculum is somewhat flexible to accommodate students who want to maximize their educational experience. We currently have alumni. 4 alumni are currently working at the Nebraska State Crime Lab here out by the Lincoln Airport. We have 1 alumni who's working on her master's degree and also working with the FBI. 2 other alumni are up in South Dakota and other labs across the United States. So our intro to forensic science is, like I said, the first semester of their first year. We essentially dive right in. And that picture there is very representative of our class size. Incoming class, as I said, is about 100 students, and it's a lecture format. And essentially, it gives the students the 10,000-foot view of forensic science. We touch on everything: fingerprints, court documents, testimonies, chain of custody, anything you might encounter as an employee in forensic science. We talk about most topics encountered on forensic science, but because our curriculum is very hands-on focused, we find that critical in providing our students the maximum immersive experience in their education. Other courses they'll take in their first year are general chemistry, calculus, and general biology. So our students are very much, we dive right into the science curriculum. All right, so first lab exercise, first essentially the first week of the first semester, we have a crime scene house. We're fortunate to have about a half acre or so of property here on East Campus at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and there's a house on it. We call it our crime scene house, where we can set up any crime, any type of crime that we want, simulated crime, and then we have our students go out and process the scene. So our first lab experience is we have scenes on the property, and those include plastic bones, shoes, empty bullet casings, plastic bottles, fingerprints, maybe a tool, a knife, something like that. And the students in that first exercise are required to process that crime scene as you would if you were an employed CSI. You map the crime scene, you establish chain of custody, you're taking photographs. They use their phones, which take amazing photographs these days, and they write a report. And they are, from day one, are immersed in the world of forensic science. So then from there, this is where the Science Interactive Kit starts. We take all of those items that we have processed from the crime scene house from our first lab exercise, and then each subsequent week focuses on one of those items. For example, a plastic bottle with fingerprints. So what we do is we tell the students, okay, you remember the plastic bottle you got from the crime scene house? Well, that now you're going to learn how to process. So this is where our Science Interactive Kit is used. All the items, as was mentioned, are included in that kit. Students are required to wear lab coats, gloves, safety glasses, and follow standard laboratory procedures. But the nice thing is everything the students need for the whole semester is in that one kit. So first day of class, they bring in their kit. We have a locked storage. We keep it here for them on campus. And then every lab session, they get their kit. We do a quick pre-lab discussion. This is what we're doing today. We're doing fingerprints, unknown white powders, whatever, and then we go right to it. And as you can see here, this is only half of our laboratory. The other half, which is kind of to the photographer's left, has the other half of the students. So each lab section will have about 20 to 25 students in those sections. So the nice thing about the Science Interactive Kit is there's the online interface and the actual kit contents. So the excuse me. So the online interface allows for organizing the lab and has the step-by-step instructions on how to proceed for the lab. It also provides ways to upload pictures, drawings, documents, whatever. And then there's a quiz at the end. Assignments are submitted electronically. It also does the pre-lab. And so all the information the students need for that particular lab exercise is in that kit and on the online. Also, because it's online, we can move lab exercises to correspond with the main lecture. So if the main lecture is talking about fingerprints that particular week, we can make sure that fingerprints lab exercise is also during that same week, so the experience is fresh in the student's mind. And then the kit contents, again, allows for the immersive experience. The exercises are easily completed within the allotted time, which is 2 hours. Students are very tech savvy now, so they get online quickly. They find the information, they process through the information, find the materials in their kit, and they proceed with a lab exercise. The nice thing about the kit is it's logistically very easy for the instructors to manage the lab. Set up and tear down is much easier. We really don't have many TAs available. We have no grad students. And again, it also allows for a very immersive experience. Okay, next slide, please. So this is just a quote from one of our former students from last year. Sonia, she's a great student. She also runs cross country. This just gives you an idea of the student feedback. And I've had other students say this is my most fun lab for this semester, because they're also taking general chemistry, general biology, and a lot of the other hard science labs too. And they said they really enjoyed this lab. A lot of one-on-one interaction. I'm always walking around the lab, making sure students understand what they're doing, maybe ask them some pop questions. as things are going along. But they're absolutely engaged and they're immersed in the experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Charles, for sharing about your forensics class. Next, I'm going to turn things over to Lisa.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Jones, and I am the program coordinator for the pharmacy technician program at Aiken Technical College. And just wanted to kind of go over some of the things that have benefited with the use of the Science Interactive. So to start off with, just wanted to go over some of the courses that I do teach within my program curriculum, which this consists of Introduction to Pharmacy. We do have 2 math components, which is a Math 1 and 2. Also, too, this also consists of 2 parts of therapeutic agents, which is basic pharmacology, learn about the pharmacology of medicine. And this is actually split into 2 series across 2 semesters. Also, too, I do include pharmacy practice as well as computer applications in pharmacy. The students do 2 practicums, 1 and 2, as well as special topics in pharmacy, along with community pharmacy seminar. I do have 2 enrollments per academic year, in which I do enroll up to 12 students per enrollment. I do a fall enrollment as well as a spring enrollment. The program is an entry-level 3-semester program that is part of the technical systems of South Carolina in terms of colleges. The courses that I do offer is a combination of either hybrid, online, as well as experiential learning that the students do go out to the actual pharmacies to train as part of their final semester. Upon completion, the students do receive a pharmacy technician certificate. In addition to that, the students are also registered as part of that last semester to take the national certification exam, which is part of the curriculum as well. In transforming the pharmacy technician education, this does help in being able to provide those real world skills development, introducing students into what the career field of pharmacy technician consists of, and then also applying that to those real world types of scenarios to prepare them into the work environment. This will consist of virtual simulations that gives them those critical thinking and problem solving skills to be able to come across any type of complex scenarios that we're facing, whether we're facing issues with the patient or if there's any types of collaboration things that we might have to experience with some of our team players that we work with. This brings to light those types of scenarios. Also, too, being able to provide those preparations when it comes to medications, when it comes to dispensing, how that scope of practice falls into those developments in terms of the education and being able to prepare those future technicians within the actual work environment. The education itself also helps with being able to provide that simulated workflow when it comes to how we go about having these prescriptions that come in, going through the process of how we prepare them, also going through the process of how we dispense them. This also will consist of things in terms of how we go about handling other non-discretionary types of duties in terms of inventory management. This types of education better helps that student, so when they are ready to actually be employed, they already have these types of skills in place. Along with that, it also helps with being able to align to the standards that the industry looks for. So my curriculum is kind of centered around being able to provide those emerging trends that takes place in the pharmacy environment, introduce those to the students in the initial stages of their educational preparation in order to be able to prepare them for that workforce environment once they're done. So why Science Interactive works? Of course, there's the student engagement. This helps in terms of being able to provide not only the things that we're teaching in terms of knowledge, but also applying it to something in terms of whatever we're doing at the moment. What that does is that it provides that engagement. Students tend to be more acceptive of being able to engage themselves into the actual knowledge that they're learning. This also helps them to provide more positive feedback in terms of what they're doing. It gives insights into things that they could be improving on, things that, that they're doing well on. It just overall just increased that participation among the student. Students, they like to be visual learners. So the ideal of them being able to put their hands on something, in addition to not just, reading materials or providing those types of things, but also applying that to something hands-on increases that participation and engagement with that student. Also, too, it does help with cost. Cost effective, of course, depending on the types of, institutions, of course, we always look into budget, and there could be budget constraints at times. And so these types of lab kits just kind of helps in being able to provide everything needed for that student within that particular kit. They're able to purchase that kit for themselves. We do have it set up to where they can purchase those kits within the bookstore using their financial aid. I know with my school that I'm with, we have these special programs that's also helpful for students of being able to purchase their kits without so much of having expenses coming out of pocket, but they're actually a part of their financial aid is kind of built into their financial aid, which is helpful. Also, too, is consistency because everyone will have everything, the same thing in their kit. So they're pulling everything out. That is the same, which allows for them to be able to work together and it can be consistent. Also, too, is also adaptable. Depending on delivery of how we're teaching, it's adaptable for either everything being online, or if there are cases that they might have to come on campus, or if this is a format that is set up for hybrid. My courses are a combination of everything. So when there are lab things that consist of, the use of those kits, then the students are able to utilize those kits on campus for those lab types of engagement. If there's certain things that in terms of digital types of learning that they could do, they do those actually independently. So there's always the flexibility of being able to deliver the same concept, but in different ways. And overcoming implementation hurdles. Of course, one challenge when it comes to this is that you do have students that will be unfamiliar with virtual simulations. This is especially when it comes to those learners who might be returning, who may have been out of the learning environment for some time and they're coming back, trying to explore something new. This can be challenging. So oftentimes the better solution when it comes to those kits that I do is that I do set up those orientations in terms of getting started, going through lab safety types of lessons, things of that nature, getting them just used to the use of the computer. So this is something here that has been helpful. Also to how-to guides. There's a lot of video tutorials that are also used in terms of being able to get the initial student familiar with it. So once they're starting into those lessons, they're very comfortable with being able to go through and navigate through each of the areas to complete the actual exercises throughout each lesson. Another challenge is that students struggle balancing those hands-on lab work with other responsibilities. So being able to have those checkpoints. One thing that I do like to have is that I do like to have open lab hours in addition to those specific schedule sessions that we do, of being able to provide the additional support for those students who might be struggling with specific things of that lab. So this is helpful. Each week I do have a checklist of checkpoints of how students are doing, how they're performing, what their areas of strengths are, as well as their areas of weaknesses to improve on those certain areas that they might be struggling with. The ideal is that, always want to keep them engaged. And that just kind of helps of being able to just be there for that student, walk them through certain things and making sure that they're okay. Another challenge is just keeping keeping them motivated with the mixtures of virtual and independent lab components. And so the solution that I have for that is actually collaborating with other peers, because this is an environment, a particular field that we all are collaborating together and working as teams. It's always beneficial to kind of give that peer-to-peer type of collaboration. You have students that are great with working with each other. They're able to learn from each other. They're able to get evaluated and knowing the good, the bad, and the ugly from each other. And sometimes that helps more in terms of them working together. Also, too, any type of reflections, anything that we do in terms of the lessons, we always like to have these post-lab reflections. Just kind of give a overall conclusion of what they've learned, what was taken from the actual lesson, what type of learning they gained from it, how engaging it was to them, which helps of being able to know that these labs are actually labs that are suitable for the actual assigned things that we're doing for the moment. Also, too, recognition. I like to give out recognitions to students when they're performing well. I do have like a group page for my program. So when students are actually meeting certain types of objectives when completing these types of labs, I do give out those recognitions, whether they're something that is actually provided or communicated across social media, or it's just something in general that we have of our own personal newsletters that I like to share. So these types of things kind of helps. It helps to keep them motivated. Students tend to do better when they know that they're performing well. So any types of communications I do like to share with students is students, even when they're doing good in these types of activities, to kind of help them stay engaged and keep them motivated. When it comes to measuring the instructor success for using these lab kits, the benefit is that it just helps to streamline the lab preparation. Like I say, once again, everything that is needed is already in those kits. So everything is pretty much is kind of set in terms of the preparation part of it. Of course, there are, a few things that, I add to those labs to kind of, help to engage it more, but everything the student needs is there, which is a benefit for me as an instructor. Also, too, consistent learning, student learning experiences just kind of help, streamline that everybody is learning consistently across the board in terms of the group. So that kind of helps in benefiting because we're all working together. Also, too, there's more time for instruction. More time for instructions, more time to be able to manage the logistics. That's also a benefit of being able to connect with the students, provide the knowledge. Since those lessons are broken down based on exploration and experimentation as well as evaluation, we can able to walk through those steps of being able to provide those instructions as we go, which is a benefit. Along with that, everything is prepackaged. Again, everything is prepackaged. Everything that we need for the materials are already there. We can actually have it to where those kits can be customized based on the various areas that we're studying at the moment, or they can be standard. So, which is the flexibility when it comes to that as well. When it comes to the student success and measuring how these lab kits are beneficial to the student success, it enhances their practical skills, it enhances their ability to be able to be hands-on, be able to touch things, to be able to actually put those types of knowledge-based informations into practice. That helps, like I say, once again, that boosts the motivation, that and boosts the engagement for the student. Also, too, this helps with being able to improve their critical thinking, improve their problem solving. Not only are they just working through the actual steps, but they're actually having to go through procedure steps and being able to handle certain situations as they arise. And this is a benefit in terms of the pharmacy profession because we have to be critical thinkers. We have to be problem solvers. We have to be able to provide certain solutions to things that might be a challenge, and being able to work together to think and brainstorm that kind of helps to bring out that success. Also, too, is better preparation, especially for the entry-level pharmacy technician roles. This is helpful because you actually have new learners that are coming in for the first time, trying to get an idea of what the career field is. This kind of helps of being able to add to that learning based on the things that they're going to be exploring within those kits. Also, too, whenever we're working with those kits in the classroom, it helps to just build that confidence for the real world scenarios, because that's the whole idea of what we're preparing them for in education, is to provide that real world scenario. So once they're done with that type of simulated learning and it's time for them to actually go and branch out into those pharmacy environments to either train first and then get hired, they have much more of a confidence because they can say, oh, I did this in the classroom. I was able to at least have some basic fundamentals of being able to at least know about a mortar and pestle, or being able to measure out, or being able to use certain types of tools, or being able to know what medication reconciliation is and what the benefits behind it when it comes to our scope of practice. Those types of things it just helps to build that confidence. And I'm able to see that even with going and reaching out to pharmacies within my area. They are so just proud of the use of these types of kits when it comes to being able to provide these to the students, because when they see them, they are much more prepared. And those are just some of the ideas of why I like the kits, because it just makes them that much more prepared when it's time for them to go out. Also, too, engagement. Once again, the more that we have of these types of simulated hands-on types of practice, the more engaging this has for the students. They're more eager to come to class. They're more eager to learn about what we're doing today. They're more eager to compound. They're more eager to be able to count out. They're more eager to be able to measure. So those types of things that just kind of turns on that light bulb for them as well. And it just brings about that engagement as well as the satisfaction of the course overall. Now, when it comes to some of the student feedback, I do have a few students here that was just they was very appreciative in terms of these kits. I do have one student. Her name is McKenna. She's one of my current Farm Tech graduates, and she just said that the Science Interactive made learning just very hands-on and engaging. It brought about those real pharmacy skills, like compounding and calculations, and she felt more confident and prepared for clinicals because of it. Excuse me. Others, I do have, her name is Jay Marcantonio, and she's a certified pharmacy technician as well. And with her experience with the science lab kits, she indicated that these interactive labs were a game changer. She was able to apply what she learned in class to real world pharmacy situations, which really helped her to understand the materials better. Also, too, I have Ms. Catherine Holmeyer, who indicated that she loved the science interactive, which let her learn at her own pace. The visuals, the simulations made it so much easier to grasp those complex topics like sterile compounding and drug classifications. Another student, Tariana Buxton, who's also is a certified pharmacy technician now, she indicated that the Science Interactive platform gave her those hands-on experiences that she needed to feel ready for her externship, which is something that we look for. And with this being said, this just lets me know that the benefits of these science interactives are truly recommended for any curriculum that is centered around this.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your experience. So if you have any questions that you haven't submitted yet, please go ahead and add them into the Q&A or the chat. We do have quite a few to get the ball rolling. So we'll start from some of the more general questions and move into some of the more specific. So for both of you, when it comes to students purchasing the kit, are these included in your course fee? Are your campus purchasing them? How do you approach that?
So I'll start. At UNL, when they register for classes, they'll have a list of required items for that class, and then they're required to purchase the kits for this Intro to Forensic Science class. What we do is the bookstore here will purchase a bulk of kits, and then the students will purchase them as part of their course registration and paying their fees. So it's kind of an all-inclusive, and that just allows for a one-stop shop. They go to the bookstore, pick up all their books, their kits, their whatever, and they bring them to class first week.
Lisa, do you do something similar, or how do you approach that?
It is similar. When we do our adoptions at the school, I do have those kits ordered for the students to be able to purchase using their financial aid in the bookstore. We have a special program that we do for students who receiving financial aid and may have to use their financial aid for purchasing. We have what is called a Ready for Success program. And what this is that they actually put a certain fee into their actual tuition to be able to purchase the materials without so much spending money out of pocket. But it's part of that particular program. Now, every program doesn't have it set up like that. Programs are able to opt out where the students may have to purchase it themselves without the use of that program. But in most cases, students are able to just go into that bookstore. The actual people there, they will actually look up those students to make sure that they're part of that program, and then they would just hand those kits to them. So we do have that. Plus, students are also able to order them online, and they're able to be shipped to their home as well.
Awesome. And then I'll just speak to the Science Interactive side of things. We facilitate purchases a number of different ways so students can purchase directly from us. We also can ship kits to your bookstore. You can have voucher codes available at your bookstore, or just do bulk purchases to your or bulk shipments to your classroom. So we're very flexible in how we can get the kits to you if you are using them. So sort of part and parcel with that, when the students have the kits, what do you do about storage? Are they storing them in the lab? Are they taking them back and forth between their dorm or home? How do you address storage of the kits?
So what we do at UNL is all the students bring their kits in first day, first week, and then we have the locked storage. We put them in, we organize by section, section 1, 2, 3, and 4. If the students are taking the online section, they just keep their kit with them. There really aren't any hazardous materials, so we don't have to worry about special storage or anything like that. And they fit nicely on just regular bookshelves.
Awesome. Lisa, what do you do?
And with the students, when they do bring their kits in, I do have a locked cabinet as well as, for students to be able to put their kits in. They do write their names on those kits, and I do lock them up. And then when we're in that particular classroom session, they're able to access their kits at that time.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, Lisa, I'll start this next one with you. Are there any safety concerns you've encountered with using the lab kits on campus?
No, I have not had any safety issues as far as with the use of those kits. Those particular items that I have in those kits, they're all like the actual measuring tools and things. They are plastic, so there's nothing that can be breakable as far as with the students, being a risk, of harm, of cutting themselves or anything. So that's the convenience of it. Everything is pretty much designed to where there's no safety hazard. Of course, what I do like about those kits that it does include like safety goggles. That kind of helps those students, if they're, working with anything that can potentially splash in their eyes. But with the actual items that we have, there hasn't been any incidents or any concerns when it came to any type of safety risk now.
Charles, what about on the forensic side?
So as far as chemicals go, we really don't have any hazardous chemicals. But because we're doing lab work, we start from the word go. When you walk into a lab coat eye protection gloves. Period. Tie your hair back. We just get that ingrained in them from day one. As far as the kit itself, one exercise we do glass fracture pattern analysis, fractography. That involves breaking a small pane of glass, but we really are very strict in general with safety glasses. And, if you accidentally cut yourself, let us know right away. We have never had any issues with any students using the kits.
Okay, this is for both of you as well. How do you address waste or leftovers at the end of the course, specifically around, some of the graduated cylinders or the durable goods that you receive in your kits?
So at the end of the semester, the kits belong to the students. They take them with them home. If we have any kits that are left behind, usually you can count them on one hand. We'll take those and repurpose the graduated cylinders for other lab sections, lab classes. So we, take any unused materials and there really isn't any chemical waste problems. Otherwise, yeah, we usually make really good use of any leftover materials in the kits.
And that's the same here as well. A lot of students, they take their kits with them, but I do have several students who just wish to donate anything that, they don't, they prefer to leave them there for those students that may have some issues or may have something missing potentially, or just want to donate something. They tend to leave those kits there. So I just take, the cylinders, the scales, those types of things there, and just place those into our, my lab, room. So if there's any students that might need or want to make use of something that they might have missed or whatever, then those particular items would be accessible to them.
Okay. And then a couple of questions related to cost of the kits that I'm happy to address, as well as customization of the kits. So we do a wide variety of disciplines, a wide variety of number of labs in a course, and a different balance of hands-on and digital activities in each kit we offer. So the price range can really vary depending on what discipline you're using, the number of labs you're including, and the balance of hands-on and digital components. Our average kit cost is about $175. That can go down to about 100, 125, and it can go above that as well. And it really depends on what configuration, and we're happy to work with you to meet that price point that's going to best fit your course. Last question I have for both of you, and then I have one for Lisa on the pharmacy tech kits in particular. How long do the kits last? Are you, for a student who maybe drops the course, comes back later, are they able to use that kit later?
No, the kits are actually well packed for just one semester. So if they if they drop out of the semester, they pretty much have to take the class over again, and usually that requires them purchasing a new kit. That doesn't happen very often, but the kits typically are scaled to where we have just enough materials for those semester activities.
And with the pharmacy technician program, students, because we do have several of the students that have donated a lot of those items, some of those items are available for students if they do return. So they can utilize the same kits that they have. And we can actually, replace certain things with what, some of the students have left for them to use. Yes.
Great. Awesome. And then one last question just for you specifically, Lisa. We have one person who's here is curious about, what kind of simulations are you using in your Pharm Tech course? And are you using them as a formative test assessment or a part of the lab course?
I do it for both. I do it for lab, but I also do it as for the formative assessment, because there do have a questionnaire, like an evaluation at the end that kind of assesses them. So I do it for both. My compounding types of items that I use from Science Interactive both consist of things that are digital. So I do have like the medication reconciliation. I do have like the automated dispensing systems, because I know some of those items can be hard to get, or to have on certain campuses. So I do make those available for the students as part of the kits. Also, too, I do compounding, which that'd be the compounding of the various different non-sterile as well as sterile compounding types of concepts. So these can be things like ointments and creams and solutions and suspensions and emulsions, as well as preparing hospital-related types of medications. And so these kits will have the convenience of all these types of products in them. Is this also includes, even with the compoundings that they're doing, this also includes the various equipments that they need for those particular compoundings. So needles, syringes, medication vials, the various types of medication vials, those things would be in there. The students' PPEs would be in there to teach them about aseptic, technique. All of those things will be in those kits that I have customized for them, as well as the other types of equipment practice things like the mortar and pestles, the spatulas, the ointment items, jars, the empty container bottles in terms of solids and liquids, all of those items will also be there to just show that, that the need in terms of what types of compounding equipment and supplies they would need to do it, not just what's in the kit, but also how it applies to the actual USP standard guidelines.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think those are all the questions we have this afternoon. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you for being a part of our webinar. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Charles, for joining us. If you're interested in learning more about what we do, if you're interested in seeing some of the data that we have collected in our annual lab report, you're welcome to use this QR code to access the full report. And please don't hesitate to reach out if you do have any additional questions. And once again, thank you, Lisa and Charles, for joining us today. Have a great day, everyone.